What is going on, guys? I am Ken Sledge.
And I'm Ashley Sledge.
And let's talk horror.
So we're getting ready to go to day one at Horrorhound.
We're very excited, hoping to get some good interviews and see some amazing people. Let's take you guys for the ride.
Let's go.
Guys, I am here with the amazing Lulu Wilson. Lulu, how you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm really happy to be here.
Is this your first time being here in Cincinnati?
It is. It's my first time. It's one of my first times doing a con, too. I did Monsterpalooza years ago, but as an older person, this is my first time doing a con.
Well, it's funny to hear you say as an older person, because we've been able to watch you grow up and the things that you've been able to accomplish with your Flanagan stuff and, the Wrath of Becky and stuff like that. We've watched you grow before our eyes and watched you come from the sweet little girl into an amazing young actress. But I would like to know, where did horror start for you? What was the first horror movie you ever watched?
Well, this is kind of a funny story. I kind of accidentally watched my first horror movie. I sat down with my parents on the couch and they had The Descent on. Yeah, I know. So I watched The Descent when I was like 5 years old. I didn't remember it until watching it recently, and then it all flooded back to me. And I think that's what kind of jump-started my love for horror, is being exposed to it from such a young age. And I have two older sisters, and one of my sisters and my dad would go every Friday to see a horror movie, so I was kind of immersed in it.
Yeah. And a way to start with like such a powerful movie with powerful female lead characters. And that's a movie that we've talked about a lot. Is one of the modern horror movies that is not only a strong female-led cast, but genuinely very scary with no pandering.
Terrifying. And it holds up so well. It's a fantastic movie. Care about the characters, kind of care about the monsters maybe a little bit. No, it's a fantastic film. I might go rewatch it later tonight.
I'm actually thinking about it now.
Yeah.
So, thank you so much for your time. We can't wait to watch you continue to grow and continue to get bigger. So thank you so much.
Thank you. It's great to meet you.
You too. Guys, we are here with the beautiful Andymatiek. I am so happy to be here with you. You know her from the Halloween trilogy, maybe Orange is the New Black as well. So how has Cincinnati been treating you so far?
Oh, I love it. I'm from outside of Chicago, so it's just so good to be back in the Midwest right now. It's just the energy of everybody is kind and cool and chill and excited, and it's a really cool vibe here.
And, is this your first time being at the Cincinnati Horrorhound?
Yeah, it's my second con in general, but the first time in Cincinnati.
That is awesome. So on Sledgehammer Horror, the big question that we ask everybody on the podcast is, what was your first horror movie? So do you remember what the first horror movie that you watched was that got you started in the genre?
I think it was Silence of the Lambs, or Jaws. Those were probably the two that were... I know they're maybe a toss-up for like true horror, but they are. They're both
I will fight to the death that those are horror movies.
They're horror movies.
Yes.
Yeah, and Jurassic Park, I would say.
Another
kind of the ones
horror
that got
movie,
me in
for sure. I know people were like, oh, there's no way. I'm like, are you kidding me? Come on, man. So I do want to thank you for taking some time out to talk to us. It really is an honor to meet you. Thank you, because now you started with Silence of the Lambs and Jaws, and now you are a horror icon for what you were able to do in Halloween. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
What is going on, guys? We are so excited. Today we are here with the lovely Leslie Hoffman. Leslie, how you doing today?
I'm doing fine. I made it through day one, so.
It's amazing to be here with you. How has the convention been treating you?
Oh, they've been wonderful. I have a bad back. They've gotten me a good chair. They've been wonderful.
Well, on Sledgehammer Horror, we always ask about the first horror movie that people watched. Do you remember your first horror movie?
I think my first horror movie was a television movie called Devil Dogs Hound for Hell.
That's an amazing start to your horror life.
But I've been in The Car and Motel Hell. And
see, and still going in the horror world today. So thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thank you.
All right, guys, we are here with the beautiful Amanda Whis. Amanda, how's the con been treating you so far?
Oh my gosh, everyone is so nice, and everybody coming up has been beautiful and kind, and it's super fun. I'm so happy.
Well, being here with you, the thing we do on Sledgehammer Horror is a segment called My First Horror Movie, where we talk to people about the first horror movie they watched. And if I had a nickel for every time I talked about you on our channel, I would be set for the rest of my life. So an icon like you, I got to know, do you remember what your first horror movie was?
I don't. But my favorite horror movie is Jaws.
Rock and roll.
Yeah, so that's the one I vividly remember the most because I grew up at the beach and I was a surfer and I saw that movie and it changed. I never surfed again. I never paddled out, jumped off my dad's boat. I never went deep into the ocean. And it's when I realized the power of a film to literally sort of change the molecular structure of your life to be something else. I mean, water skiing in a lake, I hear the Jaws theme if I wipe out. So I was like, wow, that's the power of cinema.
See, and one thing we've talked about on the channel is there are really 3 movies. If you've never seen them, you still know the score, and that's Halloween, Psycho, and Jaws.
Yes.
Every time you go swimming, someone's doing the da-da.
Yeah. What is it? A movie, somebody quoted in a movie saying, in 3 notes, a villain was made.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And you go, yes, it's just all just genius.
Yes. Well, I want to thank you for your time. I hope you have an amazing rest of your con, and it was an honor to meet you.
Thank you, and right back at you.
What is up, guys? Now we are here with the beautiful Ronnie Blakeley. Ronnie, one question for you real quick. Do you remember what the first horror movie you ever watched was?
It was Body Snatchers.
Very nice. And what an influential, a big influence in the horror community with Nightmare on Elm Street and the things that you've done. So thank you so much for your time. I hope you enjoy the rest of your con.
You're very welcome. I hope you have a wonderful time. And thank you.
Guys, we are now here with the amazing Tony Caesar. You can see all the amazing things he's done. He's been a big influence, not only in the horror, but the action genre as well. So the big thing with Sledgehammer Horror that we do, sir, is we like to talk to people about the first horror movie they watched. Do you remember what the first horror movie you ever watched was?
Oh, I don't I think it was one with Abbott and Costello, so it wasn't all that scary.
I mean, to me, that's where horror comedy started. You know, meets Frankenstein, meets the Wolfman. You get those amazing sequences of trying to block the door when it's a pull door.
Right.
So how's the convention been treating you so far, sir?
Very good. It's been good. A lot of people here yesterday. Looks like the crowd's going to be bigger today.
Mm-hmm. Well, we appreciate everything that you've done for the horror genre, sir, whether it's been a Nightmare on Elm Street, The Thing. We talk about my first horror movie a lot, and the films that you've been in are some of our hottest topics. So,
Well, I worked for Wes Craven for 20 years. I did 19 of her shows.
Yeah. So, and the amazing impact that you've had cannot go understated, sir. So thank you so much for your time, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your con.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, guys, I am here with the beautiful Brooke Bundy. Brooke, how's the con been treating you so far?
It's been amazing. I mean, I love Horrorhound. They put on a great show. They're really cool people.
Is this your first time being here in Cincinnati?
Yeah, this is my very first time. And coming over here, we had this great driver, Cedric.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like 5:30 in the morning. And he said, I want to show you this. So he came over here and we could see the entire city. And it was just beautiful.
The way everything was lit up.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
You hear all these things about the big cities. We're from Detroit, so you hear these things about the big cities. But when you're there and you see how beautiful it is, you know, with especially the skyline and stuff like that.
Right, with the little twinkling lights and everything. It's really pretty.
So at Sledgehammer Horror, our big thing is your first horror movie. And so we were wondering, do you remember what the first horror movie that you watched was?
I'm trying to think. Maybe House of Wax.
Ooh, Vincent Price.
Yeah, House of Wax, I would say. But it's a close second to. What was the one where the preacher had fear and love on his hands, and he went after the children?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, and he ended up kidnapping. One kid was hiding in the sewer at one point.
Yeah.
And if this is going to drive me nuts, I know what movie. Guys, we're going to come back to that because I'm going to figure out what movie this was. But
it was such a Robert Mitchum.
Yeah.
Robert Mitchum.
And it's such a great practical movie for the time, you know, because who are you supposed to trust more than your preacher?
Your preacher.
You know. So, Brooke, I want to thank you once again for taking the time out to hang out with us. I hope you have a great rest of your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, guys. Now we're here with the beautiful Brooke Thies. Now, for all of you that know, Nightmare on Elm Street 4 is genuinely my favorite Nightmare on Elm Street movie. This is the movie that means the most to me. It always has been the most quotable. I can't tell you how many times I've quoted Kincaid on top of that car screaming.
I know, right?
It's one of my favorite moments in history. But
that whole sequence is phenomenal.
Your death in that movie is something that stuck with me so bad as a kid, and I think it's had my irrational fear of bugs. What was it like to film a scene like that?
So, are we talking about specifically at the end where I turn into the whole cockroach?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I like bugs, but I don't like cockroaches. So my grandmother used to live in Florida, and we would go every summer, and my brother would catch these big, huge, I don't know, they were called water bugs back then, but they're cockroaches. So I actually hated cockroaches. So it was very easy to fear them. Screaming Mad George, who was the brilliant mastermind behind my whole sequence, he in his studio he literally put a roach motel in the alley and caught 1,000 roaches. They were pouring out so he could dissect them, and like he was so detail oriented.
Yeah.
So it was really cool. The whole sequence took about 2 weeks.
Oh, I bet.
Because I had 3 sets.
Yeah.
So I had the garage set where I was working out, then I had the shrinking hallway, and then of course I had the cockroach motel. So it was some of the hardest physical work I've actually ever done in my life because it was really physical. If you look really close in the roach motel, I'm actually in the cockroach. People don't know that. They think it's animatronic. The little one, I think it's in the forefront, is the little one. That's animatronic.
Yeah.
The one in the back is me. So I'm in a whole bug costume with my arms like this, and I'm pushing myself up.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
So it was really fun. I had no idea what I was getting into. So when I read the script, I was like, oh, hey, Mom, I turned into a cockroach. And she's like, okay. And I'm like, no clue how I was physically actually going to turn into a cockroach.
Right.
Who knew?
Right.
So it was a lot of work from the body cast and the body molds all the way to fruition.
That's amazing. And
it was fun.
To hear these behind the scenes stories means so much to us because on Sledgehammer Horror, our big thing is my first horror movie, where we talk to guests about the first horror movie they watched and what it meant to them.
Okay.
So do you remember what the first horror movie that you watched was?
So I'm a huge horror fan. I grew up with a brother. I am very into 1960s and 1970s horror. So we're talking Creature from the Black Lagoon. We're talking The Fly. Oh. So I would have to say Night of the Living Dead. I was really young. I don't know how young I was, and I don't know if my parents knew I was watching that. My brother had the books. He had everything. So I think that's why I love horror. I love Halloween, and I would love to do like another killer horror movie one day. But so Night of the Living Dead. I specifically remember when the one woman broke her arm into like the little window and then was eating that like turkey drumstick that was supposed to be like and that is burned in my brain forever, and it was terrifying, and I loved every second of it.
As a kid, when you're going from watching Saturday morning cartoons to Night of the Living Dead, it really is a game changer.
It is, yeah. Like I mean, that I think that gave me nightmares.
Oh, I believe it.
But I was hooked.
Well, Brooke, I want to thank you so much for taking so much time.
My pleasure.
It means
really
so
nice
much
to
to us,
you.
and I hope you have a great rest of your con.
Absolutely.
Guys, I am now here with the beautiful Toy Newkirk. Toy, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. I actually just got here. Hair's still a little wet, but I'm good.
That's why I jumped as soon as I saw you come in.
I'm so happy you did. That's awesome.
So how has Horrorhound been treating you so far?
I love Horrorhound. I've done the indie Horrorhound, and that was fantastic. I've been to Cincinnati years ago, and it was great. But I love all the cons, but Horrorhound is just so organized. They treat us so well. And I just feel like when I come here, I'm spoiled, right? And I don't want to go back home.
No, and I totally get that. We don't want to go home either. I was like, I stay here forever. So I was telling Brooke earlier, and this is not lip service, Nightmare on Elm Street 4 is my favorite Nightmare on Elm Street film. This film has meant so much to me throughout my life. Me and my cousin have quoted Kincaid on top of that car for years and years and years. And it is a film that just means so much to me. And to be able to talk to all of you about how amazing this film is so special to me. But do you remember what the first horror movie you ever watched was?
Yeah, now I'll let you in on a secret. I'm deathly afraid of horror movies. Jump scares, even Instagram, that little pop that people, I'm like the sucker, why did you do that? So my first, and I think it started from this, why I'm deathly afraid. My first movie that I ever saw, I was like 5 or 6, 7 years old. My father took time off from work and he took me to the movies. And I went, and it was The Shining. So I don't know if that's like horror, but it's real horror in my mind because it's the real horror movies, like the psychological ones that I'm just like, okay, that can really happen.
Absolutely,
they terrify me. So then when we got home, we would always have our family dinner to just sit down, eat. And I had 2 older brothers, and my mom was like, "What's wrong with you?" And I wouldn't talk. And so finally, I looked at her and I was like, Daddy's gonna kill us. And she was like, the biggest fight started. So not only am I terrified, but then that causes fights. So I was just like, I'm not gonna do it.
And then Daddy starts getting mad, and you're like, I knew it.
I knew it.
I knew this was gonna happen.
Where's the knife?
I need Scatman Carruthers to come and save
I
me.
swear to God. So yeah, that was my experience. And then when I got the movie, I was like, what? Like,
Yeah.
So yeah, that was it. I mean, I remember I saw Robert coming up over. They were at the boiler room out in Pasadena, and it was offset, and he was going to the trailer, and I was just arriving. I was coming over the hill, and it was dark, and he was in full regale, and I was like, and he's like, "Oh, it's okay, we haven't met yet." And I was like, I'm just by myself, and he's like, "Oh, you're gonna be fun."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh God."
I could just imagine the glee in his eye
Oh,
when he saw
was
your reaction.
so excited by it. He's just like, "Oh, you're gonna be an easy one." I was like, "Oh, great, thanks."
That is so amazing. And Toy, I hope you have an amazing rest of your time here.
Thank
you for coming out and spending some time with us.
Absolutely.
God bless and have a good rest of your time.
Bless you, darling. Bye, guys.
Guys, we are now here with the beautiful Tuesday night. Tuesday, how you doing?
I'm great. Oh, I was going to go, let me clip this on. No. I'm good.
It's amazing to be able to meet you. And I was able to tell all the other ladies from Nightmare on Elm Street 4 that is my favorite in the whole franchise.
Oh, that's great.
As a kid, that's the one that we watched the most. We always quoted it the most. So to be able to meet you is so amazing. So how is Cincinnati treating you so far?
How is what? This?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Yeah. I mean, I love talking to the fans, and it's just amazing to me how many decades this has gone. This is like a little horror film that we were doing, and we thought, oh yeah, this will be okay. It's going to be good. And it just blew up to this thing. And I'm really grateful I was a part of it, A funny thing we used to do is the whole cast used to go to the theaters where they were playing, and we'd sit in the very back row just to see like what they thought.
Yes.
If they would have turned around, they would have been in shock,
That's amazing.
It was cool. Yeah, it was really fun.
That's awesome. So on Sledgehammer Horror, the big thing we like to ask is my first horror movie. Do you remember what the first horror movie that you ever watched was?
I do. It was Night of the Living Dead. And I know that they were like slurping bugs off the trees. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
And I was like, Mom.
Well, and you
I saw it in the drive-in.
Oh my gosh. So it's in there in the car with your parents watching it for the first time.
Oh yes. They wanted to see me squirm.
Well, it's been an honor to be able to talk to you because, like I said, you guys have made a huge impact on my life, and this film is still so relevant to us today, and it still means the world to all of us. So thank you for taking the time, and I hope you have a great rest of your con.
Thank you. You're so sweet. Nice to meet you, and thank you for having me here.
It's more than an honor. Thank you. All right, guys, we are now here with the Jump Rope Girls from Nightmare on Elm Street, Adrienne and Coy. How you guys doing?
Very well, thank you. We're doing awesome. We're glad to be here.
It is an honor to have you guys here. So how's the con been treating you so far?
It's been really great. The crowds have been really fun, meeting new people each year, so it's exciting.
And that's amazing. And like I said, you get to do these type of things and be around all these people that you have influenced for their whole lives as well. So is this your guys' first time being in Cincinnati?
So it's not our first time with Horrorhound in Cincinnati. We've been blessed enough to be in Indy with them once and then here once. So we just absolutely love the Horrorhound family. They're like our own family, and we just have a great time when we're here.
And being here for a third time shows that they're doing something right as well. So I know that horror started very early for you guys as being, like I said, in Nightmare on Elm Street, ruining all of our childhoods. So do you remember what the first horror movie you watched was?
Believe it or not, the first one that I actually saw was actually Nightmare on Elm Street, and that's just because that one had to have a slumber party with all of her friends, and guess what? Since I was at home, that's the one I saw at a very young age, and I kept my mom up for 2 nights in a row after I saw it.
Yeah, yep. Now I'm having nightmares, and you got to deal with it, Mom. What was the first horror movie you watched, Adrienne?
I think it was either Poltergeist, which is kind of on the horror level, but not quite. And then I remember Deadly Friend.
Oh.
That was one that really creeped me out and was one of the first ones. So
And the thing with that too is you never play basketball the same again.
I never looked at a basketball the same ever again, nor a robot or that matters. So.
As a kid, that's what you get for treating the Goonies so bad. So I do want to thank you guys so much for taking the time to hang out with me. Like I said, you were an influential part of my childhood, and without you, we wouldn't have one of the best songs to jump rope to of all time. So
It is a catchy tune. We would walk around school singing that, and the people thought we were a little strange.
That's
Our
amazing.
friends had no idea what was going on, so they were like, "Why are you singing this weird lullaby? Like, what's happening?"
How about you mind your business and become educated and go watch our movie?
Well, and then it became known. So then it was kind of like, "Oh, that's cool." And again, a lot of our friends just kind of thought it was a neat thing. No one really understood the iconicness of that part. So
Well, and how influential it would still be so many years later, and you guys are still out here kicking ass 40 years later. So thank you guys so much for taking the time, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your time here.
Thank you for letting us be a part of it. So
All right, guys, I'm here with the amazing Tom Atkins of the best Halloween film in the whole franchise. Tom, how you doing today?
I'm good. I'm
So
the star of Halloween 3.
The best one in the franchise.
Yeah. It is the best of all the Halloween movies. I don't know. I like the first one a lot. It scared me very much. And John Carpenter, who I worked with 2 times, is a great director, and he produced Halloween 3.
I always loved you, and then I saw you in Creepshow.
Yeah.
And so at Sledgehammer Horror.
Oh, and then you never loved me again? What the hell is that?
You nailed that role. You
Of
nailed that
course
role.
I did. I'm a living legend, for Christ's sake.
Goddamn right you are. So one of the questions we ask on our channel is your first horror movie. Do you remember what the first horror movie you watched was?
Yeah. Frankenstein, made in 1938 or 39, 40, somewhere in there, with Boris Karloff. That's the first one I saw that I can remember, and I loved it. I loved it. But my favorite of those was Bride of Frankenstein. Yeah.
Ashley always says
Elsa Lancaster.
Ashley always says everything's better with a bride.
Yeah. Oh my God, yeah.
Well, Tom, thank you so
Wise
much for taking
women, Ashley. Wise.
Thank you so much for taking time to talk to us. I hope you have a great rest of your convention.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, man. Nice meeting you, and nice meeting you.
All right, guys, I'm here with the amazing Eddie Steeples. Eddie, how you doing today, man?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing very well. So I know that horror is not the main thing in your life. I do understand that. But do you remember what the first horror movie that you watched was?
The first horror movie I saw was Jaws by Steven Spielberg.
What a way to start your horror life. A way that you're never going to want to go to the beach again, and you just heard the most iconic song probably in all of horror.
Exactly. I think I'm going to one day get a petition going and get a bunch of people to sign it, and we're going to sue Steven Spielberg for traumatizing us. No, I'm just kidding. That's not going to happen.
We want compensation for our pain and suffering as children.
Exactly. On behalf of all the sharks in the world.
So again, Eddie, I want to thank you. I know you've done amazing things like My Name is Earl, and hopefully I can get you to go into a horror movie someday so I can watch you get scared the shit out of me. So
Right on.
Thank you so much for your time, man.
Thank you. All right. Have a good one.
Guys, I'm here with the amazing Scott Ian. Scott, how you doing today, man?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing very well, a lot better now. So you've been a major influence on a lot of people for a long time, and your music and acting has come out and really helped a lot of people. So what's it like to be out doing these conventions now?
I'm just happy I get to do them. It's not something that I thought I'd be able to do. I grew up since a little kid going to they didn't call them Comic-Cons in the 70s, but even just comic book shows and horror conventions. And and then of course going to the big Comic-Cons and whatnot, San Diego. And so these are things I go to anyway, just as a fan. So now that I actually get to come and be a part of it, do this, and get to walk around and shop and hang out and talk to people, It's something that I enjoy doing. I don't get to do a lot of them because of my schedule, but it's cool.
Well, we appreciate that you came out here. So, Sledgehammer Horror, our big thing is my first horror movie, where we talk to people about the first horror movie they watched. Do you remember what your first horror movie was?
First horror movie. I started watching horror really young because my mom was into horror. And growing up in New York on like Saturdays and Sundays, this is in the 60s, late 60s probably, there was a Creature Feature and Chiller Theater where these two, like, I think it was on Saturdays. Instead of watching Saturday morning cartoons, we would watch horror movies.
Yeah.
And so it was probably, Universal. I'm sure it was Frankenstein or Dracula or Wolfman or a Creature from Black Lagoon. One of those was probably my first, all that stuff early on. But I do remember, I remember going to the theater way too young of an age to see a thing called The Legend of Hell House.
Okay.
I feel like Roddy McDowell was in it. It didn't make much of an impact on me. I remember liking it, but I wasn't scared or anything like that. I remember watching the original Thing, not the Carpenters, but with my mom, and she was telling me this is the scariest movie I ever saw. And in the theater, there was a thing in the seat would scare the shit out of you, which I think she was wrong. She was confusing that with the Tingler. But I watched the original Thing with her, and I was like, this is pretty fucking terrible, actually.
It's funny because that's how our kids are with us now.
I know. My son, we finally let him watch Halloween, and he was bored. Yeah.
Isn't it crazy how that works?
Yeah, but watching it like kind of with his eyes, I get it. Like I've watched that movie 100 times, and then watching it again just recently with him, it's kind of like, yeah, I get it. That pacing is really slow. There's actually no blood, but Michael Myers is still creepy as fuck.
And he's just a guy.
Yeah.
He could be your next
Well,
door
he's
neighbor
not
that just
just
snaps.
a guy. A guy that doesn't die.
Right.
But I'm trying to think, though, the first one that I saw that really made an impact, let's say, would probably be when, like, seeing Dawn of the Dead in the theater when it came out. Because I had seen Night of the Living Dead, not in the theaters, I was too young, but like a rerun on television. And I remember liking it, but I guess maybe even for me at that point, that moved too slow already. Like when I saw that at like 14 or 15, I was like, yeah, I like this, but like I want more. And I remember seeing Dawn of the Dead in the theaters and just being completely blown away by that movie. My friends and I would go in like Saturday morning, and then we would sit and watch it 4 or 5 times in a row. We just wouldn't leave the theater all day. We would watch the movie over and over again. And so for me, that was really the one that kind of opened the floodgates, I would have to say.
And it's a great way to start. Like I said, to really, and all the underlying social political issues of, consumerism and stuff like that, and then to grow up and, rock out about it. So,
and don't get me wrong, I loved all the Hammer films and all the Universal and still do. But for me, like, I feel like Dawn of the Dead, it was suddenly like that was my time. Yeah. Like these are my movies. Everything that started coming out. And then of course, right after that, I mean, you had First Friday the 13th not long after that, and then the glut of 80s slasher films that started in the early 80s because of Friday the 13th. So it was a good time to get into horror.
Oh yeah, it's the glory days now.
Yeah.
So I do want to thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us, man. And I hope you have a great rest of the convention.
Cheers. Thank you.
Yes, I'm very excited to talk to you guys. I was very excited to interview Zelda and Diablo for this film. And first of all, we're going to have questions from the audience as well. So if you want to line up along that wall over there, we'll have a microphone for you. My favorite part. And so first of all, we'll dig into it. How is this film described to you? Because the way I see it, it's almost like a trauma young adult romance gone insane.
That's a good
perfect way to put it, wouldn't you say? That's a good way to put it. Coming of age. Right. I saw today someone had a poster for you to sign, and it was your one line from the movie.
Yeah, the whole thing.
Yeah.
The whole. I spent like 20 minutes signing on it. Afterwards, it was like, at first it was like, dude, thank you so much. And then afterwards, when I was like, dude, I'm so sorry.
You'd never be like, oh, it's so cool to have one line in a movie again. It takes a long time. I don't know with the movie. I think the movie's for people to decide at the end of the day when you watch it. It's like, what did you take from it?
When you read the script for it, were you floored by just how deep it was? Because there's a lot of levels to this movie that fans have picked up on, and just the way it deals with Lisa and her trauma was really, I mean, I related to some of that. I mean, not that I've had somebody slaughtered by an axe murder, but just feeling that, that it's not over yet, the weekend's still going. But just the way that she was treated as an outsider by her school and by basically her family.
Right. I feel like when I read the script, I read it with Cole in mind. And Cole is such a movie star to me. And I think it takes a movie star to play a role where you don't do anything. Like, he didn't say anything in this movie. So for some reason, I thought he was going to be the crazy one, and that Lisa was the quiet one. I was wrong. So reading it, I think I just saw a lot of myself in this character, and I didn't realize, like, my idea was wrong. The way I pictured the film was a lot different than what we shot. I remember the first day of Cole on set, I just wanted to impress him. Like, I wanted to do something crazy.
Didn't work.
Exactly. This girl over there has her mouth agape, and it's because, yeah, it's every day on set. So, yeah. Thank you very much.
Hey guys, I am here with the very handsome Kevin Durant. Kevin, how's Horrorhound doing this weekend?
I've really enjoyed it a lot.
Awesome.
Yeah, a lot of really incredible, friendly fans that I've been happy to share time with. Yeah.
Oh, that's so awesome. I'm glad that everybody's been kind and really excited to see you.
Yeah.
So at Sledgehammer Horror, we ask everybody, what was your first horror movie? Do you remember what your first horror movie was?
My first and favorite. I'm not sure if it was my first. I was very young there. I've seen it probably about 12 or 13 times. Was The Shining.
Okay.
I watched that. I remember watching that with my mom, and just being so mesmerized and terrified. And, you know, every time I walked down an empty, barren hallway, I'm always waiting for the tricycles to show up. The twins on the tricycle. Yeah. No, they're like you really created these images that kind of tattooed themselves in my consciousness.
Yes, absolutely. The lady in the bathtub, that one always got me. Ooh,
Yeah, for sure.
So thank you so much for taking your time to talk to me today.
My pleasure.
Thank
Have a good
you.
one.
Yeah, you too.
What is up, guys? We are here with the amazing Alicia Weir. Alicia, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. So is this your first time in Cincinnati?
It is my first time in Cincinnati, yes.
How's the convention been treating you?
Incredible. I mean, it was everything and more that I expected. Everyone is so kind and generous and sweet, and I honestly can't believe that I've got a line. It's crazy, and people are queuing up to see me. Just blows my mind.
It's well deserved. You've done an amazing job, whether it be in Matilda, whether it be in Abigail. You've done an amazing job in the things you've been in at such a young age. And at Sledgehammer Horror, what we do is we talk to people about the first horror movie they watched, what got them into horror. Do you remember what the first horror movie you watched was?
Oh my god. The first horror movie that I watched. I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure if this was the first one, but I know the first horror movie that I watched that I was really scared was It. When I seen that, I automatically got this fear of clowns, and it stayed with me till this day. And something about clowns just, they seriously freak me out. Like, I'm pretty good with horror movies. I don't get too freaked out, but when I see clowns, so I'm pretty sure when I was younger that was the first horror movie that traumatized me.
And the thing with that, they're supposed to be beautiful and fun, and when they have that evilness to them, that's what makes them so scary. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a great rest of your time here.
You too. Thank you.
What's up, guys? I'm here with the amazing Dermot Mulroney. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Is this your first time at Horrorhound?
I think I did a Horrorhound, same company, in Indianapolis last year and had a great time there, so they invited me back here to Cincinnati.
Well, and it's amazing when you come back, 'cause it means that they're doing something right as well. So,
well, for sure, this is such a well-run con. And is it the room or is it them? It's got really moody, like spooky lighting. That's an awesome touch. I just went through the exhibition hall to meet an old friend who's at one of the other tables, and it's packed. And all of your vendors have the highest quality. A lot of them are like cottage industry people bring it around to you every weekend. So impressed by that as part of this whole experience when you come to a Horrorhound.
Yeah. So the big thing that we do, and you obviously we know you from Insidious Chapter 3, we know you obviously from Scream 6, and the big thing we do is we want to know about your first horror movie. So do you remember what the first horror movie that you watched was that got you started in the genre?
First horror movie. I was in 5th grade when The Exorcist came out, and we weren't allowed to see it, but then the other kids could see it. Still,
Still salty about that.
Yeah,
one today?
you know how there's that like dividing line because that movie was rated X.
Yeah.
Because it was so gnarly. Remember, there were X.
Oh, yeah.
You don't remember. Anyway, X-rated movies were because they were too bloody. My first horror movie, it's hard to say. I don't quite know. I was horrified by, believe it or not, Wizard of Oz as a kid. Of course, I think that's pretty common. But my first favorite horror movie was Halloween. For what it's worth, I remember that from. So I'm older. Yeah, I'd be in high school. Maybe what is that? 1980.
78.
78. Right. So yeah, that'd be right. I'd be in 10th grade.
See, and that's the perfect time to go out to the drive-in, hang out with your friends, and do that.
Yeah.
So.
I remember watching that. I was so scared I pulled one of my braces off of my teeth.
Gotta love stories like that. So I do, Dermot, I want to thank you so much, not only for the impact you've had on the horror community, but for taking the time out to hang out with us, man. And I hope you have a great rest of your convention.
I had such a good time here. Thanks. I'll see you back.
Yeah, for sure.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
What is up, guys? So unfortunately, Horrorhound is over. All good things must come to an end.
Yeah, for real. We had a great time. There was great cosplayers. We had amazing celebrity guests that we talked to. It was all around a great time.
So if you haven't, make sure you're going out and supporting your local convention. Travel to these conventions if you can. It's such an amazing time with amazing people, and the film festivals are great. Everybody involved is just so amazing. The volunteers do so much hard work. So make sure you're going and visiting your local con. Hopefully we'll see you there. But until then, keep talking horror.
Stay who you are.
And we'll see you guys soon.